Hello and welcome to Homeopathic Services. My name is Pierre Fontaine. I've been a professional homeopath for nearly 30 years and I've only treated autism or essentially autism or the parents of kids on the spectrum who are not on the spectrum themselves. Why do biomed doctors cannot treat autism? They cannot treat autism fully. It is a fact. They can make some improvement in terms of speech, and sometimes I even wonder how much improvement has happened naturally rather than just with supplements. But there's a reason. There's a logical reason why doctors cannot treat autism. They cannot treat autism simply because they don't treat autism. They treat what they think happen and cause autism. That's the most they can do. They think vaccine has an effect, and so they'll try to keep the effect of the vaccines, the aluminum and used to be mercury and so on and so forth. But that has not made much of a difference in terms of the incidence and as well as in terms of the treatment of autism. Marginal improvement, I would say, happens. That is because it's sort of treating last year's war. It is treating what happened, but it's not treating autism itself. You see? We can treat autism. I can treat autism because once it is all I have done. Now, they have their sets of tools, and I have completely different tools. I have 6,000 remedies. And in the last 6 months or so, I have made a big deal that I have 300 new remedies behind me. And these are almost specifically for autism, for different child with different qualities, different symptomatology. You see? A child that can say, I want a cookie, requires a different remedy than a child who's completely in his bubble. A child who's completely in his bubble needs a different remedy from a child who likes to take everything apart to see how things work, to get a sense how things work. May not be able to put it back together, but a child who's always in the same room following mom, even at the door of the bathroom, requires a different remedy from a child who is by himself all the time. A child who rewinds videos consistently every 5 seconds needs a different remedy from a child who will watch at least a 15, 20-minute cartoon. A child who eats only one food will need a different remedy from a child who can eat a variety of food. That is possible. That is the greatness of all these remedies. It's because we have the variety to choose. And being only on autism, believe me, it lit a fire under my seat to find a solution. And now I am very happy to be basically the only guy who can say, I guarantee your child will be neurotypical. I absolutely guarantee it. I don't think anyone is doing that. That is because all of these symptomatology, that is about 150 symptoms, the logic of which I describe in my third book, The Language of Autism, all of these symptomatology can be parsed and matched to a remedy that will return your child because of resonance so close. Your child will become neurotypical, which means completely independent. Not a child on the spectrum with some ability of speaking sometimes. No, 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 no. Not a halfway thing. A full recovery is absolutely possible and a guarantee. Biomed cannot do that because they're just assuming something. I'm not in disagreement. Vaccines do have an effect, of course, but other things have an effect as well, which nobody talks about. And so if we don't talk about it, how can we even begin to deal with it? I deal with what comes after. What comes after is the full effect. What I deal with, what I can treat, is autism itself. Understanding what autism also is, which is described in 2 words in this book. There are not very many types of autism. There's only one autism, period. Honest with a spectrum of symptomatology. It's a spectrum of symptomatology, but there's only one autism. Autism is conceptual inability, which includes some what we call instinct. Some instinct conceptual, I consider conceptual, that is to feed, just to feed. It's a concept, otherwise we die. A lot of children have a problem feeding. In fact, a majority of kids on the spectrums are underweight. All of this inability, all what we consider spectrum, all the multitude, about 150 symptoms belong to autism, about 150 symptoms. It is possible to understand through conceptual inability. In the end, in order to return a child to neurotypicality, all we need to do is transform inability into ability. That is done with a remedy or several remedies, but only one at a time. Remedies that fit the child absolutely perfectly in his or her symptomatology. His or her understanding of the world. Now you can say, well, I don't know what my child understands. That's my job, which I will impart to you afterward, but well after. But your child, as a guarantee, will be neurotypical. Not overnight, not in 3 months, not even in 6. After 6 months, you will see some major differences. But your child will still not be neurotypical. After a year, we'll be getting close. After 2 years, we're just about there. That is a guarantee. That is a certainty. Because understanding autism once we understand autism, it becomes much, much simpler. All this broad symptomatology becomes simple. It is difficult to look at. It is difficult to deal with. It is difficult to understand. Once we understand it, it becomes much, much simpler to deal with. And therefore, for me to give accurate remedies more consistently than in the past. Made plenty of mistakes. I've made many, many, many mistakes. Haven't given correct remedies many times. But nowadays it is much simpler. We lose much less time, or we waste much less time during treatment, and the child can reclaim abilities of interaction, of speech, of eye contact, of being able to sit at a table and do his or her homework, and play appropriately with other kids, play appropriately with toys, eat normally, sleep normally, behave normally. All of this is possible. All of this is possible. And most importantly, I think it is extremely important because there's a lot of aggression in kids on the spectrum. A lot of kids suffer from aggression. And that is most commonly the first symptom to go away. Most commonly the first symptom to go away. Not the last. You stop walking on eggshells, if you will. Everybody in the house, every day, walking on eggshells because we don't know when little Johnny is going to blow for any number of reasons. That can be gone within a month or two. That alone is extraordinary. But that's not where I stop. I guarantee neurotypicality. It is entirely possible for your child on the spectrum to be fully neurotypical and become an independent boy, girl, man, and a woman. The website is homeopathicservices.com. You'll find my email address, homeoserve@gmail.com. There, the last book, which will have you understand your child's symptomatology. We will not be able to treat your child. I do that. But you will understand the symptomatology of your child while your child is eating one food and so on and so forth, spinning wheels of a toy truck. And before that, there was One Heart, One Mind. That was an exercise on how to take a case for a child on the spectrum before these 300 new remedies that they haven't solved everything. It's still difficult. I mean, they made it slightly easier, but it's still difficult to choose appropriate remedy. But they've made it easier. It is, how to say, we've narrowed it down. We can narrow it down much faster and have remedies that move the child along in a more rapid fashion, so that after a year we have quite a lot of function back. That is possible. Real function, not something learned, real spontaneous function for a child on the spectrum. Should I give examples? I'll give example. Oh, I was going to end. I'll give example. I have a kid right in front of me. He tells us words of what he wants. Now that's not uncommon. I won't. But this child did not say anything. The amount he is communicating with us is quite extraordinary. Normally he screams for what he wants. In the history of this case, there was a lot of aggression. Normally he screams for what he wants. He calls mommy, and then he tells me what he wants. He's sleeping a lot better. They went to the dentist. Here's an experience that is very difficult for parents and children on the spectrum. Mom says she was anxiety ridden at a dentist, but it went super well. He did also really well on a road trip. You see, every time I happened to have this, I was done. Every time I take it, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. See, it's not that he was prepared for the dentist and he went to the dentist and it went pretty well. No, it went super well. He stayed in the chair, no problem. Now, it's not that they prepared for the road trip. No, it went super well. As it will say, he's able to connect the dots. He understands there's cause and effect. Before there was no cause and effect. He did not understand cause and effect. The only cause and effect he understood was screaming. On the road trip, usually he wants to come back home. He didn't ask to come home. He was comfortable in a new place. He's not throwing things like he was doing before. He's not been aggressive towards me or his brother. All right, so understanding cause and effect. What else? He's not anticipating someone picking up the phone, or there was a big deal. He could not have anyone pick up a phone in front of him and speak on the phone. He would literally snatch the phone and throw it. He's not doing that. He's not taking his clothes off much at all anymore. Probably a sign of comfort. Mom feels he's feeling better in his body. Yesterday, oh yeah, he had pain in the ear, and he said pain in the ear. But Mom thinks it was because of only heavy fog. He has cried more appropriately. He's much better with his emotions. And so, you see, there's no teaching this. This is the difference when a child returns to neurotypicality and when the child is still on the spectrum, because you will not get this. You will get learned behaviors, but this is across the board. It's across the board. Better with his emotion is across the board. He understands there's cause and effect. You see? Where he did not get it before. And then Mom had an issue. There was some minor surgery, and he came and he cried. He cried. He was with his mom. He understood that something went wrong, or that there was a little bit of a concern. He understood that. So that's what happens when a child returns return to neurotypicality. It's across the board. It's gradually across the board, with more and more and more abilities. Voila, I've said it all today. Again, the website is homeopathicservices.com. The email, because it's very difficult with phone, the email is homeoserve@gmail.com. Homeo, HOMEO, serve, SERVE, @gmail.com. I hope to see you soon. Be well. Bye-bye.